Good evening, July 2019. This is a lump of hay. And that's another one. And we're in the process of making a few up there. We have the tractor and hay bob. And over there in the valley, in this valley, you'll see the encroachment of a big crane to build an industrial wind turbine. And the idea of hay nowadays, not long ago but nowadays, is that if you have a sick animal or calf or cow after calving, hay is a light, sweet food, dried grass. It's actually completely dried grass. It has to be very dry. If it's not completely dry, it will heat up and it will go rotten. It differs from silage in that the air will make it rot if it's not dry. But long ago this was the whole scene, and mugs of tea would be brought out and bottles of tea, sandwiches, and they seemed to be sweeter than anything you ever got anywhere else. So then over here we have turbine number 7 of the Rara Wind Farm. This is put here at the behest of 3 landowners and vehemently resisted by all the rest of the people, including myself. I took a judicial review trying to stop these. So it's an industrialization of the landscape, and I'll return down here, and very few people experience this. The country scene, you'll have known the painting by John Constable, I think it was, the Hay Wain, and this is it here. And this stuff, although it's cut a few days, got rain yesterday and it's not totally dry, and because of that you can't put it into a square bale, so you make lumps. And it has the most fresh smell, most clean and fresh smell. And long ago, when your food or your sandwich would fall on the ground, you never minded picking it up and eating it, because everything was so clean and everything was so healthy. So I'll just set up my camera here a bit, get it a wee bit level, and just see it now. Yeah, it's not too bad. We'll get it on the cock of hay there. Maybe tilt it down a little bit, and I get on with my talk. In any event, the whole idea of farming is to produce food, and Ireland produces, just repeat that, Ireland produces 40 times the food it needs and could produce 80 times the food it needs. This is only a sort of novelty, and I'm doing it because I know there's rain coming by the forecast in the morning, and if I just got, we'll say, 6-7 of these, I'd have enough hay to do me, because I have all my crops in silage. So the way you built the cock of hay was, this is a lump. A cock is about 3 times as big. This is a lump. This is where the hay is not totally dry, so you don't make it into too big a heap. And you took it in the fork, having raked it up, and you either just put it straight down, but if you were putting it on the top, where to keep out the water, you had to shake it. And the idea was to get all the pieces of hay running in a sort of in that direction, and they will act like thatch, and no rain will go in. So that's the way you made the lump. Anyway, the people who recommend these wind turbines here tell me that I should not be farming, and that I should not be producing my beef. Beef here produced mostly from grass. Cattle are in 3-4 months of the year. They get meal when they're in, usually barley. And we have our calves, and then I sell my beef cattle when they're fat. And as far as I'm concerned, you couldn't have a more healthy product. Indeed, the grass that comes out of Ireland is sought after for baby food formula because of its deep green colour. Yet we're told this is all wrong. This is the new cultural Marxism green agenda. And where they tell me my tractor must stop, I must stop my farming, I must plant all the land, I must replace it with wind turbines. These wind turbines save nothing. There's thousands of tons of CO2 going into the air in the manufacture of the materials going into that and in their building. They're 4 months hard going burning fossil fuel with machinery. And moreover, they lose money. They lose 65,000 per megawatt per year, euros. So this wind farm, when it pays its ordinary costs and pays its interest on its loan, will never be able to repay the capital sum of about 26 million euros. And we have the wind industry at the moment begging the likes of me to take shares in these. You can never get your money back, and if you pay into a pension fund like Irish Life or any of the other ones that are investing in these, particularly into green core renewables, they can never get your money back because these are losing 220 million euros per year. They can never pay their money back. But the irony is that this is supposed to save the planet. They tell us there's global warming. That's a separate issue. If there was a debate on that, I think we would convince you that it's not, as they say, it may not exist at all, and if it does, it's nothing like what it said. But it's an excuse to tax people. It's an excuse to change the way we go, and it's an excuse to bring in big socialist, communist government. We have the likes of Eamon Ryan from Dublin 4, who's a head case, who will not debate this publicly. We have the General Green Party. But the peculiar part of it is that the Fine Gael party is greener than the Green Party. The Fianna Fáil party they're the ones started all this in 2010, and the other parties are the same. There's only about 3 TDs in Dáil Éireann and politicians the world over who don't agree with this. Now, the United Nations has censured the Irish government on several occasions because it failed to implement the Irish Convention on Public Participation. It failed to implement Article 3.2 of the SCA Directive, which involves the right of the public to participate and have their submission taken into account and reasons given for the decision if it's not accepted. And you should be able to take a judicial review on that. We're not allowed to do it, and the Irish government is bracing it out. This is the same Irish government that wants to become a member of the United Nations. So the hypocrisy is desperate. It is really terrible. And I'm convinced it cannot be solved. And everyone asks me, how can we solve the corruption? Things like the Children's Hospital, no assessment done there either. How can we solve it? We can't solve it unless we change our voting pattern. And I'm not interested in political office as such. I don't mind as long as we put in proper conservative people who can count, who can hold everyone to account, who can hold the politicians to account. It is terrible that a young man or woman today cannot invest in a little pension for themselves without every penny going into these. At least half of the 92 million of the remainder of the National Pension Reserve Fund went into this in Gay Electric. It's gone burst. And yet we're still building them. And we're still trying to tell me that I can't produce beef. And we've now signed, Europe has signed with the South American people, trade people, to bring in Brazilian and South American beef. There's nothing to prevent the rainforest being cut down. There's no reason why the quality we have here shouldn't take precedence, yet they're selling us out. So how long will it take Irish farmers, Irish people and rural people to realise that the politicians you are voting for, except one or two, and are not on your side? And Luke Ming Flanagan is not on your side. He's ultimately a socialist. Neither is Mick Wallace. We fly to these and we put in these. We've put in 2 Fine Gael MPs in the northwest of Ireland in the last election. And they are going to put you out of the country. They're going to destroy our lifestyle for nothing, for absolutely nothing. And they begrudge us the right to live here. And you never know when someone belonging to you, even if you live in a city, might like to come down and join us here, or maybe marry in here or something else. So all I can say to you is the whole thing is bizarre, it's ironic, it's hypocritical. And to think that the elected representatives of this area approve of this, the fear now in this community over what the effect of noise and shot of flicker of these will be. Our property values are already destroyed, is palpable. This community has been split in a way the British never managed. The British never attacked the environment like this. And this is what they want. They want us killing each other. They want us fighting. They want to say we're only country bumpkins. Because they ultimately have their cultural Marxist agenda. There are others like Gemma Doherty, who you should watch on YouTube. There's the Irish National Party trying to combat this. And there are a few others. It's urgent. We need to act on it. We need to speak about it and get to understand it. And we should not accept it, because if we do, our grandchildren will curse us to high heaven. Our grandparents did not sell us out. They never sold us out. And we are selling them out right now. Each and every one of us. I'm trying to convince people that's the case. So I have made a dossier on these, showing the terrible losses. I've submitted it to the Dáil Committee of Public Accounts, and I'm starting a campaign called a cubic metre. We're going to send a cubic metre of letters to the Dáil Committee of Public Accounts, Kildare Street, Dublin, Leinster House, Kildare Street, Dublin 2. Leinster House, Kildare Street, Dublin 2. The Dáil Committee of Public Accounts, Kildare Street, Dublin 2. We're going to give them a cubic metre of mail, asking that I and the authors of the dossier get speaking to the public accounts and ask them how they can justify all this finance and all this investment going in here and being wasted on this when it can never ever be repaid. So that's that. I'm going to go back now and get on with me cock of hay, because it's 8:30, so I have 2 hours now to make about 3 more of these, and if I get that done I'll be happy. What we do then is in a few days I'll get them baled into a bale, or else bring it into a shed and put in the corner of a shed. But in an old cold January day, a bitterly cold January day, if there's a vet out with a cow or something, that's the stuff. And the smell of it is beautiful. Like, I wish you could smell it. To tell me that this is bad for the environment is baloney. Thank you very much. I'll just switch off now.